Alright guys, so today we have a 2006 Ford F-150 5.4 liter. What I'll do is I'll start it up. It'll run fine in park and neutral. But if you put it in reverse or drive, truck tries to move and stalls out. So I have a suspicion that the torque converter is staying locked up, and I've already checked some of the electrical connections down by the transmission. So we're gonna go ahead and replace the torque converter lockup solenoid today. I'm gonna show you how to do that. What I do, my first step would be run the truck almost up to operating temp, just to get it hot enough so all of the metal and junk or whatever is in the transmission fluid is suspended in the oil. And then I'll actually shut the truck off and leave it sit for about a half hour so all the fluid can drip back down into the pan. The proper way to do this would probably be, if you're going to do a flush at the same time, just to hook up a line and kind of blow all the fluid out and change the whole fluid capacity, but I'm just going to change what's in the pan as well as the filter and the torque converter lockup solenoid. Alright, as you can see, the truck is about, halfway up on the temp gauge, so I'm going to shut it down now. And I'm going to go underneath and just kind of feel the transmission pan. Be careful though, because it's going to be hot. It's actually not too bad. Probably let this thing run a little longer. You want it to be warm so the oil is, up to temp, but you don't want to be burning your hands. So, gonna run it a little longer. And while you're waiting, you can get a pan ready. Not sure if this is going to hold all of it. I hope so. Otherwise, we're in for a surprise. So here's the parts list. Pan gasket. Solenoid. Filter. Let's cool down a bit. As you can see, Ford wasn't very nice to us. No drain plug. And there's a fucking cross member right here in the way, so gonna have to pull all the bolts out. Except for the very back ones, and let it hang. Drain the fluid out. 10mm for the bolts. Leave only back two. Pull the rest out. I'm gonna take these out too. It's all over the place. Huh? There's still going to be a bunch of it in the pan here, so you can see. Oh. This ought to be good. Oh. Oh boy. What's up? We'll pull this thing out of the way. Oh yeah. Now, there. Where is it? I think it's this guy right here. Filter. Oh, I'm gonna have to pull this over. Oh,
Oh, damn. Got all over your phone.
Ford. Well, that's good for now. So while this is draining, here is the shift saw, or the torque and rear lockup solenoid, and this black plastic piece has wires running into it to plug into that solenoid and solenoid over there, and follow up to here, and it plugs in another solenoid. So you have to really gently take like a little flathead, because this is what plugs into the solenoid. Just kind of really carefully pry down on it, and come over here, pry down on that. And you can see, maybe, pull down on it, and there's your pins. So now, looks like a 10 mil here that holds the solenoid in. I'm gonna take that out. I want to drop this guy in the drain pan. Probably gonna get doused again when we pull the solenoid out. Looks like got to pull this bolt, and also feels like there's one on the back side. Maybe get this assembly here out of the way, because this is between that. Good design, Ford. Good design. And by the way, this is an 8mm, not a 10. Alright, we got the 8mm out. I'm gonna try to wiggle this thing off. That. And here's the solenoid. Twist and pull. Oh. Now, make sure both O-rings on here come out with it. Make sure when you pull the old filter out that this O-ring comes with it. If it did not come off with the filter, check either in your pan, or it'll be up in the transmission still where the filter came from, and you'll have to use a pick or a screwdriver to kind of grab it and pull it out of there. Alright, so while the fluid drains, we're going to clean out the pan. First thing I noticed is this little yellow plug in there, and I sat there for a while trying to figure out where the hell it went. Did some research and found on the F-150 forum that Ford puts this in the dipstick tube hole before the dipstick tube is installed, and then when they install the tube on the assembly line, this just plops down in the pan. So you just throw this away. Apparently everybody that's had their transmission pan down for the first time has run into this issue, so don't be scared. It's just something that is normal. So we're gonna clean off the magnet here. As you can see, my girlfriend has great maintenance and a lot of metal on there. Got about 180K, and as far as I know, this pan's never been down because obviously this is still in there. So yep, gonna wipe the magnet off. I mean, there's no huge chunks or anything, it's just bleh. So we're gonna clean that off, get the pan all cleaned up on the inside, and make sure the mating surface for the gasket is nice and clean. It actually has it stamped right into pan where it says pan is equipped with a reusable gasket. Well, we're not going to be a cheapo because it's not like it was very expensive. So if you can afford it, replace it. Now we're going to test fit the gasket, make sure it's actually the right one. Voila, it's the right one. Just going to match up our solenoids here before I rip the bag open. Looks to be right. Gonna put the new solenoid in. Remember, don't put that bolt in just yet because this piece holds it on too. So we're going to carefully, I don't know if you can see in the video here, but there's little O-rings and tabs there that need to go up into the valve body as well, so make sure to get those lined up. Just like that. Now we'll put our 10 mil back in here and the 8 mil in right here. Don't over tighten them, just snug. I'll make sure to carefully plug this here plastic bobber back into all your solenoids. Like that. Triple check and make sure all the solenoids are plugged in and pushed on all the way. You might have to give her some oomph a little bit, but you can see the pins are in there. And if you don't get it pushed in on there, here, the back side of this one, and then at the far end, if they're not pushed in all the way, you're going to have more issues because, like I said, this is the wiring runs in there for all these solenoids. And then clean off your mating surface for the pan gasket. Now again, match up your filter before you put it in. Doesn't hurt to take a little bit of ATF, that's probably all over your hands anyways, and just coat the O-ring a little bit to help it go in easier. Put her up in there as level and even as possible and just push up. Hear that clunk, it's in all the way. And it's gonna drip like this for days, so we're just gonna clean off, like I said, the gasket area here. Clean this off all nice. And once you get done with this, you gotta work kind of fast because fluid will drip down from inside the tranny and then run back over on the mating surface here. So you need to wipe it off and get the pan up as fast as you can. Now when you put this together, you gotta put the back side up first, otherwise the pan gets caught between this cross member and the valve body up there. So tip the back up first, then lift up the front, and then just start one bolt here and then one on the other side just to hold the pan up for you, and then start all your other bolts. Alright, the pan is up. The torque spec for these bolts, if you feel like torquing them, would be 120 inch-pounds, which is equivalent to 10 foot-pounds. And the sequence I would do this in is start in the center, start on one side, so we'll start here on the driver's side. Do the middle bolt first and work your way towards the end. Stop at this one, so you'll do this one, then that one, and then that one, and then you'll move to a different side, do this one and that one, and then hit the corner one. So pretty much you're working from the center out on each side and then going back and doing the corners, because if you start just at one end and work your way all the way around and come back to that one, it's going to kind of pinch the gasket, and it's going to end up having excess gasket all the way back around at the beginning here, and it might not seal properly. So I recommend torquing it down nice and even. Alright, now we're ready to pop the hood and pull the dipstick tube out, or the dipstick out, funnel, stick it in the tube. I'm not exactly sure on capacity, but judging by how much was taken out, I'm going to start with at least 6 quarts. Ford calls for Mercon 5 ATF. So I changed my mind and started with 5 quarts instead of 6, just because I didn't want to overfill it. So we're going to go ahead and start it up now and park. Now we want to go through each gear one by one and keep it in gear for a couple seconds every time we shift before switching to the next gear to get the fluid working through all of the gears. I don't know if it'll kill or not still. Yep. Try neutral. Didn't die in drive. Still bogging it down.
First is fine.
Might still need more fluid in it. You may have to dip the stick in there a couple times to get an accurate reading, because there'd be some ATF left over in the tube when you dip it, giving you a off reading. Fluid was only up to here, so we're gonna add another quart and try again. So I ended up putting 7 quarts in it, and it's right in between the cold and the hot full line. Once you start seeing fluid on the stick, just go in like half a quart or 1/4 of a quart increments when you're adding fluid, because you can overfill it real quick. So basically I ran it through park and neutral. Obviously worked fine, and that's, you know, you want to have it in park or neutral when you're checking the fluid level. And I was able to get drive and first to run just fine. When you put it in second, it bogged it down a little bit more, but it would run in second. But reverse was still dying. So I pushed it out of the driveway, put her in drive, romped on it, drove it down the street, took it around the block a couple times, and you know, got her a little hotter and got the torque converter moving around a little bit, because this truck has been sitting for probably 2 months. So even with fresh fluid and the new solenoid, might have something, you know, binding up in the torque converter. But I have reverse now as well, so I'll show you that when I get back to the house here. Just wanted to show you that it is in fact driving. Now this problem actually started after a different issue started, where in overdrive, in lower RPMs, you'd feel like a pulsation or a bucking as if the tranny was maybe slipping. I suspect bad spark plugs. This exact same thing actually happened in my Dodge Dakota. Changed the spark plugs and it worked great. You can hear when I step on it. It hesitates and it pops and all that stuff, runs like crap. So I'll be doing spark plugs next. That might be contributing to the runnability issue, but it does not stall going into gear anymore. So the solenoid seems to have fixed that. If you are still having issues, I'd be looking for probably, you'd probably have chunks of some sort in the pan when you pulled it. Or if you put it in drive or reverse and you feel the truck wanting to move but it doesn't move, odds are your torque converter is bad. And if you can't get it out to drive it like I did, you're probably going to end up having to do a torque converter. So like I said, as long as you can get it into either drive 2, 1, or reverse, whatever, just enough to get it out of the driveway and kind of screw around with the truck, or have someone help push it out into the road or some shit. But I mean, where we got park, doesn't die in reverse anymore, can actually move, neutral of course, drive, 2 and 1. Alright, well hopefully this video helped you out. Like and subscribe for more how-to videos.